And good evening, everybody, and welcome aboard to Hawk Talk. We're coming to you live from the C.H. Fields Craft Kitchen right here at the beautiful Hilton Garden Inn. Jack Benedict along with Coach Paul Tortorella. We're going to talk IUP football for the next hour, talk about the game on Saturday, the game coming up, and anything in between. By the way, first of all, I forgot last week, compliments of one of our sponsors, Duncan, so we've got a card for you there,
Thank you.
Coach.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, gift card. I know you'll make the most of that, that's for sure. All right, before we get into questions here, a lot of the fans have posed some questions they want to throw at you. Let's go back a little bit and take a look at the game last week, 35-28, the final. Right. Seton Hill comes away with the win. You know, we've talked about all the things in it. Well, looking at the first half, you were down 14-0 right away because of an interception. You get stopped at the goal line, so on. But you come back with a field goal. You got a touchdown.
Right.
It's 14-10 at the half. You had to feel fairly good about that, didn't you?
Well, we had, a very bad penalty defensively. We'd had them 3rd and 18. So they continued to drive and scored. Not only did they score, they took 5 or 6 minutes away from our offense getting the ball. So we would have had at least another possession in the first half. We had a good drive in the first quarter and got stopped down on the goal line on the quarterback sneak. And then, we got a turnover, sudden change, didn't take advantage of it. But going in at halftime, we felt like, we played a lot better in the second quarter. Had 2 pretty good drives, kicked the field goal on the one, scored the touchdown on the other. And, we felt like if we came out and played a good second half, we were going to be in good shape, even though we were down 14-10. Now, realistically, though, the difference in halftime this week compared to last week, we went in last week down 10-7, and we were actually fortunate to be down 10-7. In looking at the game Saturday, we felt like we should have been up 17-7 at the half. We got stopped on the inch line, so there's 7 points that we didn't get. And with all intents and purposes, when you get a penalty on 3rd and 18, they go on and score. You think you're going to stop them there, so that's 7 less points that you'd have given up. Mm-hmm. But it was 14-10, and Nico played a really good second quarter. We felt like we had some things going offensively. And, defensively, they scored on a 35-yard drive after a turnover on a pass play. The other drive was a long drive that was extended by the penalty, so we didn't feel like we were in desperate measures defensively anywhere. They weren't really doing a whole lot of things any differently than what they've shown on film. So we felt comfortable going in at 14-10, and we knew we were going to kick off to them in the second half, and felt good that we'd get a stop and get the lead. We needed to get the lead. We never got the lead the whole game. We had it tied.
Right.
But it's hard, like I told the players, it's hard to win a game when you never have the lead. It just doesn't all miraculously happen. You get the lead at the end of the game to win. Now, that very easily could have happened Saturday, but 90% of the time, if you never have the lead in the game, you're not going to win the game.
Yeah.
So that's been the issue. We're chasing games, because we're getting behind, and then you change, you do some things different to take some chances that you probably wouldn't when you have the lead.
I looked at the points that you score in the first half and the opposition in the second half. Mm-hmm. Much better second half team.
Well, in both phases, both scoring and defending. Our first halves have been low scoring.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, offensively, it's been really first quarter. And you're at practice. We practice opening series. It's almost to the point now where we shouldn't even talk about it because it may be in their heads now. We've talked about it so much that we have to get off to a fast start, especially offensively, that it might just be coming counterproductive. Obviously we should have had 7 with the, we thought we had the touchdown to play before on the goal line, but when you got a half a foot to go, you better score a touchdown.
Exactly.
There's no scheme or gimmick involved in that. It's just we got to get in the end zone. We got a half of if we stop somebody in that situation, I feel like that's like hitting the lottery. If we can stop you on 4th and goal on the 2-inch line, that's a big bonus. Well, that's what happened. Instead of it being 7-7, now it's 7-0. And, that continues, goes into the middle of the second quarter. We get a penalty to prolong a drive. They score. Now it's 14-0 instead of 7-7.
You were deprived of a big touchdown.
Oh, long touchdown run.
Well, with Nico.
That's another one. There's another 7 points that we
What did they call on that?
They called Zenobel with a push in the back. He did attempt to let me just backtrack. He didn't attempt to push the guy he attempted to block the guy. Okay? And he came in from behind. And he attempted to block him, but he really didn't block him. The guy kind of just fell expecting to be getting blocked. And I don't know. I mean, if I show that play 10 times, it might get called 3, and 7 times it doesn't, because it really didn't have anything to do with it didn't prevent us from scoring the touchdown. So it was some guys, the intent is worth the penalty, I guess. And sometimes if, there's nothing there, and even if you try to do it, it's not a penalty. So, but at the end of the day, they called it. We lost a 60-yard touchdown run by the quarterback, so there's another 7 points. So we end up getting a field goal on that drive. So, there's 4 points we squandered away, plus the 7 where we were on the goal line. There's 11 points we could have had instead of the 7 points.
When on the run with Marchitelli, I didn't realize he had that kind of speed.
Yeah, he can run. He's got pretty good speed. He has pretty good speed. A couple safeties tried to run him down, and he outlasted them. It was a good run. It was a good play. It's a shame that it got called back, but it did. And like I said, you throw that in there. We lost 4 points there. We lost 7. That's 11. It's easy to add up. We got 10 at the half. We should probably have 21.
Well, taking nothing away from Seton Hill.
They have nothing to like. That, our issues are our issues, and part of the issue is they stopped us on the goal line. Mm-hmm.
And their touchdowns seem to be scored so easily.
Yeah. Well, the 2 drives that were penalty induced, 2 of them were bad penalties, just undisciplined penalties after the whistle. And that led to 14 points. And then they got 2 touchdowns on throws, a 20-yard pass where we're in man coverage and our guy just lets him go. I really don't. There's nothing else I can say.
Yeah.
And then on the last touchdown, they ran a not a trick play, but they ran a motion and they switched receivers, and they had a nice plan, and we fell for it and gave up the touchdown there at the end. A couple other plays downfield. We were in a zone coverage. The third player didn't get deep enough, got behind them. So it was a matter of, but we weren't getting off the field on third down either. So that was a big problem. The one time we had their best receiver double covered, and the guy that was supposed to double him thought he ran an out, and we were done with him and got off it, and the guy ran an out and up. So we had a plethora of bad play in the secondary, which, these are the same guys we won a conference with last year, every one of them.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So I don't really, I can't read minds. We trying to do the best that we can. I could see if we were like the offense with a bunch of new players, but our starting secondary is really the same starting secondary we played, and at this time last year we're 7-0 and ranked 5th in the country. Same players.
Yeah. One of the touchdowns, Craggett up the middle, 11 yards. I don't know if anybody touched him.
Well,
what happened?
We did. The guy missed the tackle. It probably looks like it's clean,
okay.
But we missed. The guy went in and dove with the legs instead of tackling him up top, and he just missed the tackle. Mm-hmm. It's a one-on-one in the gap. We got to play better. We got to coach better. Defensively, we have not played well since the Mercy. Well, we played pretty good against Edinboro. But other than the Edinboro game, we have not played very well since the Mercyhurst game. And really, to be honest, the last 3 games that we've lost, we did not play well enough defensively to win. It's, it probably, at the end of the day, if we end up coming back and winning that game and we catch the ball at the end and it goes to overtime and this, that, and the other, I told the team we didn't deserve to win.
Well, the play at the end, too, the pass play was just a drop ball, right?
That's all. Got them in a good cover. We caught them in a good coverage. They were running a linebacker with a wide out, which is probably low percentage on defense, hoping to get the pressure. And let me tell you now, he gets drilled, Marchitelli, right before he throws it, to the point where he didn't even see the play. He thought he overthrew the guy.
Oh, yeah.
He gets drilled from the backside, never sees the guy, and just barely gets it off and drops a dime. And is Isaiah Hazard trying to drop the ball? Absolutely not.
No.
But like I told him and told the rest of the team, that play should have nothing to do with the game. If you take care of the things that you need to take care of, with all due respect to Seton Hill, they were, they played well enough to cause us some issues, but the self-inflicted wounds and the missed opportunities on offense compared with the undisciplined penalties on defense and the 2 big passes that came out, you don't deserve to win.
Well, last week at this time, we were talking about the lack of penalties. 2 penalties for 8 yards.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
This
well,
week.
I knew this one was going to be a problem by the start of the game and the way, just by the pregame meeting with the officials. I knew it was going to be a problem. Seton Hill's averaging 100 yards a game in penalties. We're averaging 45. And just by the discussion I had with the referee and the umpire before the game, and I told the team this, they're going to call everything. They're going to the week before, they let pretty much everything go. They let them play. They just called the obvious. I think Edinburgh had 40 yards and we had 15 or 20 yards, the week before.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday we had 100 and they had like 85 yards. They called a lot of penalties on them now too. They had a couple holds.
Oh, yeah.
They had, they had a bunch of penalties too.
Mm-hmm.
But like the roughing the passer on Fazell, like I don't know what you tell the guy. Like I can't freeze the guy and stop him in midair when he hits the quarterback. Okay, the face mask penalty on Williams. It's not a face mask. He grabs the guy by the shoulder pad on the sack. We get a sack. It's going to be 3rd and 18 on that drive where they score, and they call face mask. And the referee that was right there, the head referee's right there, and he doesn't call it, and the umpire 25 yards away calls it. And he never touched the face mask.
Wasn't there what was the one on Waitman? Was it holding the player
Yeah,
down,
no, that was
what?
a penalty.
Was
He pushed the guy down when he got up. Like, you can't do that. Like, you when the whistle blows, the play's over. So anything you do after the whistle that's not normal is going to be a penalty. Turtle Williams gets a sack, and he grabs the guy by the shoulder pad in the shirt, and they call face mask. Well, that hurts us. It's going to be 3rd and 18 again, and instead it's an automatic first down, and they score on that drive. Now, that's it as the play's going on penalty. So there's nothing we can do about that. Like, they called it. But the ones after the whistle, those are the 2 that really burn us up as coaches. And the players realize that. They understand that. They know that, look, we've won a lot of games around here playing the right way. And that's not the way we play. We're aggressive. We're physical. Everybody talks, like the team that leads the conference in penalties is the best team in the conference, Slippery Rock. They're physical. They're aggressive. They play tough. But they're not taking stupid penalties, after the whistle, et cetera, et cetera. So at the end of the day, when you might get away with some of those penalties some days, just don't do them, and you don't have to worry about getting away with them or not getting away with them. We literally gave them 2 touchdowns on 2 penalties after the whistle. Just undisciplined.
Yeah.
We got to get it corrected. I got to get it corrected. It's I'm the head coach. It's got to get corrected, and we can't have it.
All right, we're going to be back. We're going to talk more. Coming up, by the way, this week, 2 o'clock will be the kickoff against Gannon. That's senior day. at Miller Stadium, Signetti Field. So we hope you'll join us on that. Looks like it's going to be a 65-degree day. We're going to be back in a moment. It's Hawk Talk with Coach Paul Tortorella. We're coming your way on U92Radio.com and Renda Digital TV.
Pressure, no hassle. Only one of the reasons to buy your new or pre-owned vehicle from Walker GMC in downtown Katanning. Make the short drive across 422 and see why Walker Motor Company was voted #1 new and used dealership in Armstrong County for 6 straight years.
Dunkin' Donuts on Oakland Avenue in Indiana wants to show you its new look. Dunkin' is now open and invites you to see the newly remodeled location for yourself. The new Dunkin' has a store of the future look with several new features, such as coffee on tap, mobile order pickup space, and even smart device recharging pads and technology available inside. See for yourself the new look. The newly remodeled Dunkin' Donuts, now open on Oakland Avenue. Indiana runs on Dunkin'.
Located along the beautiful Allegheny River in downtown Katanning, the Meredith Inn provides an atmosphere of casual upscale dining. Dine indoors or outside on the new patio. Check them out on Facebook or visit their website at themeredithinn.com. Well worth the drive.
Welcome back, everybody. Jack Benedict here along with Coach Paul Tortorella. Talk coming to you live from the Hilton Garden Inn. Good to have you along. Tort, give us an update. Of course, we had MRIs given to quarterback Karst Hunter and tight end Cole Laney. We have some late developing news. What's the latest from
Well, we had good news and bad news. We got it Friday evening, the MRIs read. Karst doesn't have any structural damage. It's just a bad bone bruise. Looked like it was a ligament problem. It's not. So he may be ready. I'd say it's probably a stretch for this week, but he may be ready next week. And we'll just see where we're at in that regard. But physically, by next week, it wouldn't, there's nothing structurally wrong. So for him to play, it really wouldn't be putting him in harm's way.
Would you dress him this week?
We don't know. We're going to have to see, how he gets through practice. He may be, an emergency guy if he gets through practice this week. He's been off for a couple weeks, hasn't done much. Started really feeling better beginning of last week, which was a good sign. And, he's a kid that wants to play, but you don't want to put a guy out there. I saw Duke's quarterback got hurt and had a bad ankle, and he was begging the coach to put him back in the game Saturday at Florida State, and coach said no way, because if you can't defend yourself, you can't put guys out there. Or if you could hurt it worse. Well, a bad ankle, you can make it worse out there, obviously. But Karst's injury is not anything structurally. It'll heal on its own. But Cole Laney does have a torn labrum, so he'll obviously be out for the rest of the year and probably for spring practice. And we're expecting to get him back next for us in the fall. So good news on one, bad news on the other.
Yeah. Of course, Cole's been around longer. Now with Karst, if everything goes okay, whether he plays or not, this year he would be ready for spring then.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. I mean, we're hoping that he's close to 100%, by next week. But, Nico's gone in there and done a great job. I mean, what people fail to realize on Saturday, he gets a 60-yard touchdown called back. You throw those into his stats, he has over 100 yards rushing and over, 260 yards passing?
About 271, I think, yeah.
So you're talking at a 370-yard day for the quarterback. And like I said, he takes a shot on the last play. We had a couple drops, obviously, that he's going to be over 400 yards in total offense if the run doesn't get called back and we don't drop a couple balls.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't play a perfect game. First quarter, he missed some throws, made a bad decision on one. But, from the middle of the second quarter on, he played pretty good.
All in all, in watching him play, it's like he's very confident. And he doesn't seem to be overwhelmed with anything.
No, and he's tough. Like, he runs the ball, he takes hits. And like I said, the hit he takes on the last play of the game is, it's like I tell people, stand there, look the other way, and let somebody run for 10 yards and hit you right in the back, and you don't know they're coming. Like, that doesn't feel real good. And I felt bad. He didn't even realize. He thought he overthrew him because he didn't see the play. He was on the ground. But, it would have been good to see if, we had a decision to make if we scored there. I was contemplating going for 2 and going right there to win the game. We had a timeout left, was going to use it and talk to Larry and Coach Camp and see if they had a play dialed up that they thought had a great chance of being successful. And if they did, we probably were going to go for 2 and win it right there. But if they didn't feel great about a play, we'd have just kicked the extra point, hopefully made it, and went into overtime.
Was there anything that Seton Hill did that you weren't prepared for?
No. There really wasn't. They played the same defense they play. We actually caught them on the last play. They kind of gambled with their coverage. We had a mismatch, our wide out on their linebacker, and we just didn't obviously execute it. But the game didn't come down to that play. Like there's so many other plays that play would have that play would have never even happened if we would have handled and not missed our opportunities on offense and not got even with the bad play by the defense. If we just don't take 2 undisciplined penalties, we're probably going to win the game. Because offensively, if we just capitalize on the goal line and we recover a fumble on the 17-yard line with the score 28-25. We waited to take the 2-point play because it was still too early. You can't chase, going for two. So when we cut it to 21-16, I said, no, we're not going for 2. Let's kick it. Then we got it. Then they scored, made it 28-17. But then when we scored, made it 28-23. Now it was time to get it to a 3-point game, and we converted the quarterback draw. Nico did a good job on that. The guy hit him at the goal line. He fell in. We got it to 3. And then they tried to give us the game by fumbling the kickoff, misplaying the kickoff, and we recover on the 17-yard line.
Right.
And we don't get anything. We got to kick a field goal. And Tracy came through twice on 2 really good field goals and a pretty tough wind.
Yeah, there was a strong
one
wind.
on one end, one on the other, and he booted him through, no problem. He had a good day. So I felt good about that. If it would have came down to a field goal to win the game, felt very confident in Nick. But unfortunately, we didn't get to stop on defense. And then on offense, we didn't convert at the end. We had 2 timeouts. No, we actually had all 3 timeouts when we got the ball back. We had 1:50. So we had time. We had timeouts. Nico did a great job on the 2-minute drill. Got us down. Now there was a situation down there on the 20. We got it going pretty good. We got a 1st and 10 on their 25 or wherever it was, the 20. And they stopped the clock. We're going fast, and they're scrambling on defense, and we don't want to stop the clock. Well, they come in and they stop it, saying that they didn't stop it in time, so they were going to give us 4 seconds back. So Seton Hill goes over, and they meet like it was like a timeout, but it wasn't a timeout. Like I'm asking, what are we doing here? Okay, you're putting the 4 seconds back on the clock. Let's go.
Play.
They're taking a timeout because they were scrambling now. We hit 3 or 4 passes, boom, 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 right in a row, got the ball down on the 20. So it was kind of a bad break that, it was on, okay, put the 4 seconds on and let's go. But it was like they got a free timeout. They thought we wanted a timeout. We had a ton of timeouts. We didn't need to take, we didn't want to take a timeout. We didn't need to take any timeouts. So we took one on 4th down to discuss it, and we still had one left. We took one a little bit earlier in the drive, so we didn't have to kill the ball to save a down. And then when it got we didn't convert the 3rd down play. It was a stoppage. It was an incomplete pass. It was 4th down. We wanted to talk about it. Call the quarterback and the offense over. So we used the timeout, which wasn't a big deal. There was 28 seconds, and we still had another timeout. So it doesn't. If you don't make it on 4th down anyway, you don't need the timeouts, and you don't need the time on the clock. So we wanted to make sure we had the right play on 4th down, which we did. We dialed it up. We didn't convert it. So if we'd have scored there was 23 seconds left. That game's either going to go into overtime if we make the extra point, or if we go for 2 in the win and we score, we win. If we don't, we lose.
That game had so many things happening in it.
Well, that's what happens when you don't play well.
Well, like the 3rd and 35.
Yeah. Well, it was 3rd and 28, and it really should have been. We're playing pass, obviously, and it literally should have been we're okay. Yeah, you can run it, and we'll let you gain 12, 15 yards. We're going to get the ball back. And we have 2 guys right there that just don't make the tackle. It should have been about a 12, 14-yard game. We were playing pass all the way. We had a down guy going the wrong gap, but it's still only going to gain 10 or 12 yards. But that shouldn't even came to that either, because during the series earlier, we got a roughing the passer penalty that should have never happened, and you got to pull off. You can't leave it up to air. We're not good enough to overcome, the gray areas or the margin for error. This team just it's not good enough. You got to be realistic. They understand that. Our coaches understand that. We've got to do everything by the book, and we got to do it right to have a chance to win. And when you don't score on the inch line and you give 2 penalties after the whistle to give them 14 points, you're probably not going to win. And then the other thing is chasing the game.
Catch up.
Yeah, playing catch up. So, you got to learn from it. If you were going to win every game every year, they wouldn't even play the games. And like I told the team, you can act like this, we've had this great record. I coached on a team that was 0-10 in college at Akron. So, losing football games isn't it happens. Mm-hmm. And our standard here, obviously, is not to lose football games. And I go back, and our coaches are on the same page with me. We line up and play our best and don't win, we can live with that. Okay? We got whipped at Slippery Rock. No questions asked. We don't make excuses. We feel like the other 3 losses, if we would have played well, we would have won. And that's no disrespect to those teams. They played well enough to win, and we didn't.
Mm-hmm. That's the bottom line. Okay, we're going to be back. I have some questions that the fans would like to have, when I put them down here, would like to ask the coach, and so we'll do that. Don't forget the game, as we said, on Saturday. It's the final home game. Gannon's in town, 2 o'clock kickoff. And the seniors will be honored that particular day. We're back with Hawk Talk, live from the Hilton Garden Inn, just a moment on U92Radio.com and Renda Digital TV.
Surround yourself with good friends at the Hilton Garden Inn and C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen, offering breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, private dining, and catered events. Whether you're an out-of-town guest staying at the Hilton Garden Inn, visiting IUP, or part of the local community, they invite you to join them. On Wednesdays, it's Hump Day Happies from 4 to 6 p.m., featuring $2 off craft cocktails, draft beer, house wines by the glass, and half off select small plates. Find out more online or Facebook and make your choice after the big game. The Hilton Garden Inn and C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen.
Save big during the Dowd's Custom Order Sales Event. Buy 1 item at Dowd's special sale price and get a second item of equal or lesser value at half off. That's right, every other item at half off. Dowd's has the latest trends in custom furnishings, plus America's finest manufacturers. And the savings are incredible. Plus, get free financing for 1 full year. Drive a little, save a lot. Dowd's of Plumville and Greensburg.
Doesn't your home deserve Dowd's?
We're back with you now at the Hilton Garden Inn, C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen. Jack Benedict with Coach Paul Tortorella. And the Crimson Hawks with a 4-4 record now. Okay, the fans have some questions for you, Coach. Jotted all these down, so let's go. Longtime Indiana County football fan. He's been rooting for the local teams for IUP for many, many years. Simply says, what's wrong with the Crimson Hawks? What went wrong?
Well, there's a fine line between winning and losing. People don't understand that aren't really in the know. Yeah, on paper you see IUP and you see another team, you think, well, that's a win. But there's a fine line. At this time last year, we were sitting here undefeated, ranked 5th in the country, whatever, getting ready to go play Gannon. And a year later, we're sitting here a 500 team. We've lost 2 one-score games. 3 of the games we lost to a team that's undefeated, a team that has 1 loss, and a team that just lost their second game. Obviously, this loss is not a good loss. And, again, no disrespect to Seton Hill. They played better, and they deserve to win. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, I do remember 2 years ago we didn't make the playoffs, and last year we made the Final 8. So we lost a lot of good players. Like people don't realize the players that we played with last year that aren't here anymore. 4 offensive linemen that were great players. Dwayne Brown, maybe one of the best receivers to ever play here.
No question.
Max Sexton at quarterback. I mean, offensively, we lost probably 80, I don't have the figure, but we probably lost at least 80% of our production, in the passing game in regards, more than 80 when you throw the quarterback in there. Really offensively, the only receiver that we had back from last year that had any production was Ridley. Laney a little bit. Well, he's been odd. He's been hurt. Lockhart got hurt. He got hurt last year. It's not easy. The teams usually that have great years in this league and in this region are heavy senior-dominated teams like Slippery Rock, like we were last year, like we were in 2017. I mean, we're having senior day Saturday. We got 7 seniors. Like, Gannon has 23. We're playing them this Saturday, obviously. And that's just, I'm just bringing that up because that's who we're playing this week. We've got a big junior class of a lot of good players. These aren't excuses. I mean, it is what it is. We got to play better. We got to coach better. I got to do a better job. But there's times in games where there's 3 or 4 plays that kind of determine a game. We're not making those plays, and our opponents are. And that's how you lose one-score games. I know we had an unbelievable record going into this season with one-score games. Well, we're 1-2 in one-score games this year. We had an unbelievable road record, blah, 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 going into this season. Well, we just lost our last 2 road games. So we got to get back on track to winning on the road and winning close games, and then obviously winning this weekend at home.
All right. Another fan says, what's the team's mood now that the playoffs are?
Well, here that question, it doesn't bother me, but it's a question that well, since we're not in the playoffs, that we don't coach anymore. We're not going to coach anymore because we're not in the playoffs. I mean, is that what people are talking about, or the players aren't going to play anymore because they're not in the playoffs? Well, I told the team today 90% of Division II football players are playing games this week that have nothing to do with the playoffs. So be happy that you're spoiled, but understand that these other teams don't care about that. Okay? And like I told them, I've coached on an 0-10 team. Did I stop coaching that year? No. We're coaching harder this year than we've ever coached. We're coaching them harder this year because we got a lot of new players. Every play, every day in practice and on Saturday than we did last year. And we were undefeated at this time. So, it is what it is. It's like Coach Camp made he said the analogy. So it's like when you wake up for Christmas, if you don't get the present you want, you just pot till next Christmas. That's just the way it is.
Another question here. What's been the most positive part of the team's performance this year?
I think our offensive line's getting a lot better. We have 3 new starters in the offensive line. I think the quarterback play is improving. From the beginning of the year with Karst till when he got hurt, and now the last 2 weeks with Nico, we just haven't had a chance to get our run game going because we're chasing the game too much. We've been behind. I think our 2 inside down guys are playing very well. I think we're getting pretty good play from our linebackers. I think our defensive ends are not playing as well as we thought they would. and not having an effect on the game like we thought they would, and we're not playing anywhere near the way we played in the secondary last year, this year with the same guys. Now, you're playing against different people, same teams, but different quarterbacks, different receivers, et cetera, and we're just not playing as good in the secondary this year as we were last year. There's only one real difference. Randy Washington's hurt, and he got moved to offense. So we're playing with 2 other free safeties instead of Randy Washington. That's the only change in the secondary. And we're actually playing with a couple more players this year than we did last year. But we're not playing as good. We're not coaching as good. And I'm including me in that. Because at the end of the day, that's my baby, the secondary. You know, that's where I coached for 22 years, so to speak. And, you know, obviously it's very upsetting the way we're playing defensively. We've played some good games, but in games we haven't played well, we've played bad. You know, like
there was no middle ground.
There's no middle ground. You know, played really well against Ashland, played really well against Shippensburg, and played really well against East Stroudsburg until the last series of the game. Played really well against Mercyhurst. Now, since then, we played a good second half against Edinboro, and that's it the last 4 weeks.
Now, you incorporated other players, some of the younger players in the Seton Hill game in the secondary.
Yeah, we're playing
quite a few, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, we're playing a couple other guys in the secondary. Waddell, Toller, Johnston's been playing.
Fowler,
or Toller, I mean.
I'm Toller.
Yeah, so Waddell's playing. He had been hurt for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. He's playing a little bit at corner now for us. So we're playing more guys back there. We got to get better play, and the guys that are going to practice the best are the ones that are going to play in the game. And we're not etched in stone where we don't make, like, if guys not producing, this is a developmental program. Okay, so there's nobody entitled. There's nothing etched in stone. If you're not continuing to develop, no matter how many years you started, the next guy up is going to get a chance. And you saw a little bit of that last week. You're going to see more of it this week in the secondary. We're just really thin up front on defense and the defensive line. We do have a little bit more depth at defensive end, but we have 2 injuries inside for our backups, where we're very thin at defensive tackle and nose guard. We had a freshman that we were counting on that was academically, and he's here, but he's not a full qualifier that we thought would play as a true freshman, so he has to automatically redshirt. And that, you got to play with the hands you're dealt. And we really like the way the 2 young new inside down guys are playing. Danielson and Turtle Williams are playing hard. They're playing good. They're playing just about every play because we're very thin there. But I think you can play more in games now because there's less plays with the clock.
Oh.
So instead of a 70-play game, maybe there's 56 or 58 plays. So if you play most of the snaps, you're playing 50 to 55 plays instead of 65 plays.
Positives players in the last game. Hilton Ridley.
Oh, he had a tremendous game.
Dan Diebner came along.
Oh, yeah.
The 2 of them were terrific.
Right. 2 touchdowns for Debner, just like in the Shepherd game last year in the PSAC championship game. He had a great game. Played really well Saturday. Ridley had a great game. Nico had a really good game. DeJour Stewart played well. He had a couple really good runs. We put him in Wildcat down on the goal line, and
scored.
After the fact, we all said maybe we should have ran that play on the inch line, but we ran it on the 1, and we scored easily on that. And I think Hauser's done a good job as the second running back.
Mm-hmm.
So there are definitely some positives. We're struggling a little bit at tight end without Laney, but that's Division II football. You don't have 3, 4, 5 guys at each position like you do in Division I.
Yeah. Another one I didn't see it on the replay. Cy Clark's catch.
Yeah.
In between 2 defenders, miraculous. How did he do that? Concentration.
Yeah, it was great, and he got knocked off when he caught it, or he may have scored. They had two guys run into each other, and they just got enough of him to knock him down. But great concentration because and a great throw. Like, that ball had to be put exactly where it was put, or it probably would have got intercepted.
Here's a question that leads to beyond toward recruiting with fans that with no playoffs. Do you go the transfer route? Do you get a start? There's a plus and minuses. Do you get a start on other teams because they're in the playoffs and you're not? But you've been on the other end too.
Yeah, right. Last year we didn't get out till December or whatever it was because we played all the way up. We had the bye week. Then we played Ashland. Then we played Shepherd in the playoffs. So we played 3 weeks after the regular season was over. Obviously, that's not happening this year. So we'll get a little bit more of a head start on recruiting with high school guys, et cetera. Our philosophy is this with the portal. If we have a need at a position, that's when we're going to the portal, okay? We looked at it last year. Last year's team on offense was a pretty good offense. We had one portal guy, the quarterback. That's it. Everybody else was IUP bred from the time they got here to the time they were done playing. All the offensive linemen, the two tight ends, Suman and Grant Smith, all the running backs are still here.
Sure.
Dwayne Brown. Like, they're all guys that we started with as high school kids. The only portal guy we had last year was Max Sexton. Now, we had to go back in because he didn't come back. He could have been playing this year, Max Sexton.
Yes, I know he had.
He decided not to and graduate, and he got his master's. That's fine. So we weren't ready to. We didn't have anybody in the wings. We thought we had him for 2 years.
Sure.
So we got thrown that curveball, which it's not that much of a surprise. So we had to get in the portal and get a quarterback and see if one of the young guys could battle, which Nico's done. So we did that. We had to go for the offensive line. We lost 4 starters in the offensive line last year that were all seniors, 5th and 6th year guys that were here at IUP from day one. So we had to go get a couple portal guys. We got a guy from Lackawanna starting at left guard. He's back next year. We got a guy starting at left tackle from Virginia Wise. He's back next year. Okay? We got Comedy back next year. We got Leighton at center. Back. The only guy we lose in the offensive line is McLean DeJua, and we've got some depth guys that are close to being ready to play. They just aren't starters. So we're not portal crazy here. It's a developmental program. It's the portal's good in some ways, and in some ways it isn't. If a guy's at a Division I program and he's in the portal, there's 2 things you better watch. Number one, how good is he? Because he could go to another Division I school and not have to sit it. It's not like the old days, okay? And number 2, how many years does he have left? If it's not a stopgap, like at a quarterback position, or you need an offensive lineman for 1 year, you're better off getting young transfers or developing your high school kids. If we had 22 seniors, like we had a couple years ago,
right.
you got to go in the portal some. On defense, we lose a couple guys. And that's it. They're all back.
Yeah.
So, we only have 7 seniors. Will we not take somebody from the portal? I'm not saying that, but that's not the be-all, end-all. Okay? It takes a while. Like, our offensive linemen are finally starting to come around a little bit because it takes a while. They played at Lackawanna, which is a great program, but it's junior college football. They play in the daytime, like weekdays at Lackawanna. Like, they play right? Thursdays, Friday. Like, they play all different kinds of times. Great program. And they play against pretty good competition, too.
I see other teams, there are many guys from Lackawanna.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, it takes you got to, and these guys started from day one. Chance Battle started from day one. Cotman started from day one from Virginia Wise. Not a great program, but he was a good player for them. Okay, we got Okoro also from Concord here. That's a backup right now that is a projected starter for next year. Okay, because if you're getting 1 year, you're just doing it every year. Like just go out in the portal and get 6 1-year guys, and they play a year, and then you go back out, and you never develop your guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's time for the portal, but if you just rely on the portal, you're going to be having a new team every year, and that's not the route we're going.
All right, we're going to be back. Final segment coming up with Coach Paul Tortorella, and we will return. We hope you'll be with us on Saturday for Senior Day and Gannon coming in. We'll touch upon Gannon a little bit, too. Back in just a moment. Hawk Talk from the Hilton Garden Inn, U92Radio.com, and Renda Digital TV.
Yourself with good friends at the Hilton Garden Inn and CH Fields Craft Kitchen, offering breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, private dining, and catered events. Whether you're an out-of-town guest staying at the Hilton Garden Inn, visiting IUP, or part of the local community, they invite you to join them. On Wednesdays, it's Hump Day Happies from 4 to 6 p.m., featuring $2 off craft cocktails, draft beer, house wines by the glass, and half off select small plates. Find out more online or Facebook and make your choice after the big game. The Hilton Garden Inn and CH Fields Craft Kitchen.
Save big during the Dowd's Custom Order Sales Event. Buy one item at Dowd's special sale price and get a second item of equal or lesser value at half off. That's right, every other item at half off. Dowd's has the latest trends in custom furnishings, plus America's finest manufacturers. And the savings are incredible. Plus, get free financing for 1 full year. Drive a little, save a lot. Dowd's of Plumville and Greensburg.
Doesn't your home deserve Dowd's?
Dunkin' Donuts on Oakland Avenue in Indiana wants to show you its new look. Dunkin' is now open and invites you to see the newly remodeled location for yourself. The new Dunkin' has a store of the future look with several new features, such as coffee on tap, mobile order pickup space, and even smart device recharging pads and technology available inside. See for yourself the new look. The newly remodeled Dunkin' Donuts, now open on Oakland Avenue. Indiana runs on Dunkin'.
92.5.
We're back with you now. Hawk Talk from the Hilton Garden Inn. Jack Benedict and Coach Paul Tortorella here in our last segment. Coming up, Gannon on Saturday afternoon. Just wanted to mention with the seniors, you mentioned about 7.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving somebody out. I know we've got Lockhart, Taylor, Cobb, Zenoble, Holmes, DeJuha.
Shoegarts. Stone Shoegarts.
Oh yes, Shoegarts. Yeah. I know
because he's going to graduate.
He's going to
yeah.
And I know his dad Brett had said that he's going to move on, but he's been kind of like.
He's hurt. He's hurt right now.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, we're hurting in the D line. We'd like to play him some at D tackle and nose guard, but he got hurt a couple weeks ago in practice and still's not back.
Yeah, I noticed last week
right.
He didn't practice with you at all. Does this team? Another question was: does this team lack any leadership? Because you can't just tell people think with leadership, you can't just say you're a leader.
Right.
You have to have it ingrained in you.
Well, when usually the first thing you look at is do you have a lot of seniors? Okay.
Yeah.
Last year, one of the most important guys on the team started some games, didn't start all the games, had been hurt a little. Grant Smith, he was the best leader we had. I don't know, he maybe had 15 catches, maybe a touchdown or 2, but's been here as a 4-year player, 5-year player actually, and he was the best leader we had because he's been here five years as an IUP football player.
Mm-hmm.
That senior class, there's 7 of them. And a couple of them are the only guys that have been here the whole time are McLean, Shoegarts.
How about Cobb?
And Cobb. That's it. So now if you look at next year's senior group, there's about 17 of them that are going to be seniors next year that have been here the whole time. I think that's probably an indication of where leadership is. And then if you go back since I've been the head coach and look at the best teams in the region, over the years, us in 2017, us last year, Slippery Rock in 19, Westchester in 18, 20 there wasn't one. The 1 year Shepherd had 29 seniors. The team that's usually the best team in the region has an overabundance of seniors that have been there, done that, and been in the program a long time, and not portal guys. Mm-hmm. You know, the Slippery Rock guys were all guys that played at Slippery Rock. You know, in 2017, we really had 2 transfers on that team, Max Redfield and Jerron Searles. That team was heavily dominated with seniors, and it was my first year as the head coach, but I obviously was here with them as the D coordinator. They were all here in the program, and they were seniors. So it was like hitting the lottery, so to speak, your first year as a head coach.
Especially with those 2 guys.
And then if you add those 2 guys for just 1 year, like when you add a 1-year guy, he's got to be a difference maker. Like you don't bring a guy in just for 1 year to play a little bit. He's got to be a difference maker. And those 2 were. Last year, Max Sexton, the quarterback. We brought him in thinking we had 2. We got a great year out of him. Okay? There weren't many transfers playing on that team last year. You know, on offense, you know, Lockhart would have been, but he got hurt. Taylor on defense last year, and Max Sexton, and that you call it a day right there. Mm-hmm. Last year there was 2 portal players that actually started and played the whole year for us. Mm-hmm. The rest were all IUP bred guys that were here a long time.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point, no question. Gannon started out 0-3.
Right.
They've won 4 out of their last 5. Now, answer me this. They started a true freshman quarterback last week.
No,
Did he?
The starter got hurt.
Oh, he got hurt.
22nd or 23rd play of the game.
Okay.
He had been their quarterback the whole season. I don't really know if he's out this week. They don't have him. They have him in the 2 deep as a starter. So they have a starter. He's a younger guy that's been in their program. He's had a really good year. Got hurt sometime during the game at Mercyhurst. They brought in a true freshman. He finished the game. They got the win. He let them down to kick the field goal at the end of the game to win it. They've won 4 of their last 5. They're probably playing as good as anybody in our league. They had except Slippery Rock. They played Slippery Rock 2 weeks ago. They were up 14-0. They were down 28-24 with 10 minutes to go in the game. So if you take their first 3 losses were close losses, 1-score games, and they were Charleston that only has 1 loss, and 2 crossover games. They lost to Millersville and Westchester in close games. You take those 3, it's very impressive. They lost their first 3 games and didn't bat an eye. They've won 4 of their last 5, have won some close games. And like I said, they stood toe-to-toe with Slippery Rock, and then a couple things at the end of the game got away from them. 28-24 ended up being a 49-24 because Slippery Rock scored the last 3 touchdowns in the last 10 minutes of the game. But they're playing as good as anybody in the league on both sides of the ball. They've got probably one of the best kickers in the league. He's 11 for 11 on field goals. Yeah, so they do kick field goals, which most people don't. I don't even know how many field goals we've had tried against us this year. It can't be more than all on one hand.
Not only is he 11 for 11, he has not missed an extra point.
And he hasn't missed an extra point, and he's been their kicker for a while.
Yeah.
He was their kicker last year. They got a lot of players back. 3 offensive linemen that have been starters for a while. They lost their 2 running backs, but they got a young running back that's having a great year. Their best receiver, number 1, is back. He was their best receiver last year. You know, they had the quarterback graduate, but I guess they brought a transfer in, and these 2 kids in their program beat them out, from what I understand. So, you know, that's where they're at offensively, and the sophomore running back, this number 20, Donnie Marcus, is a good back. He just didn't play a whole lot last year because they had 2 other running backs.
Well, I noticed that he and this freshman quarterback, Whitaker, are from the state of Indiana.
Yeah.
The same.
They must have a contact, a connection there.
Yeah.
And a lot of their yards in the rush game come from the quarterback. He's a dual threat. They're a big quarterback run team. Mm-hmm. And the starter that's been there throughout, you know, he's averaging, I think, close to 60, 70 yards a game rushing. And you throw in sacks in there too. So they cause a major problem when they're very good in the run game. They have a lot of different runs they use, a lot of different quarterback runs they use. You know, it's a very elaborate run scheme. They do a lot of motioning. They test you vertically. They take shots down the field with play action and misdirection. If you don't have, your eyes where they're supposed to be, you're going to be in trouble against them. And that's what happened to us last year a little bit. And then defensively, they play a 3-down, 3-3 scheme that's a lot different than everybody else. They know it well. They play it well. They're very aggressive. They're +7 in turnover ratio. Really good. They've got 3 really good players on the back end. Farnsworth, number 9's a great defensive back. Their linebackers are really active because they play with 3 of them. And their 3-down guys got a lot of sacks, a lot of tackles for losses. They cause problems for your offense because they run a defense that you don't see very often. Mm-hmm. But the key to it is they know it and they run it real well.
Yeah.
And they, like, you hear a 3-3 scheme, you think, oh, well, you'll just run the ball on it. It's not. It's a 3-3 scheme, but they get 8 guys around the box when you run the ball.
So they know what they're doing.
Oh, yeah, they know what they're doing.
When you're 500 the way IUP is, and you're playing Gannon, and then 2 games away, Clarion and Bloomsburg, those 2 teams don't have winning records. But everybody looks at that Seton Hill thing and says, well, hey, we've just gained a whole bunch of confidence.
Well, like you tell the players, you watch the Seton Hill film leading into our game, okay? And we tell our guys this every week. Go ahead and watch it. They won't play like that against us. When you come in with that IUP on your helmet, it's a different story. It just is. Teams love to beat IUP. So you're going to get their best shot, and if you're not ready to play, I don't care who you're playing. And you say, well, you're going to play Clarion. Well, they just beat Edinburgh at Edinburgh. Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to play Bloomsburg. They just lost by a field goal at East Stroudsburg. You got to come to play no matter who you're playing. Mm-hmm. And now you're playing a team this year that is the only game we lost last year in our conference. And it was a barn burner, and we could have won. But, last year when they beat us, it probably did us more good because we went and took that and really strived after that game, and they end up losing the last game of the year to Shippensburg at home and didn't make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And maybe they had the hangover from beating us, and I think it woke us up a little bit, to be honest with you, and we went on beat Clarion pretty easily at home and then beat Shepherd in the PSAC championship game and then beat Ashland. Do we beat Shepherd and Ashland if we beat Gannon and we're undefeated and we think we're really good and we're ranked in the top 5? And we were a different team after the Gannon loss in a good way. So sometimes in that instance losing a game is not a bad thing. Like I told the team back then when that happened, there's only 3 teams in IUP history that had an undefeated regular season. So, like, when you lose one game, it's not the end of the world in the regular season. Mm-hmm. It could help you, especially, when you lose it, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But you can't lose more than one.
Well, let's have your good team show up Saturday for Senior Day. And good luck.
We'd like that to happen.
Yeah,
sure.
we'd like that to happen.
And they're going to have to because we're playing, like I said, a team that's every bit as good as anybody in our league when they play well.
Yeah. Coach, thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Paul Tortorella, thank you one and all. Those of you who have come here and those of you listening and watching, we'll see you Saturday with a 2 o'clock kickoff with IUP and Gannon. For the coach, this is Jack Benedict. Have a Major League night.